Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Elfnote Centur-ion version 2. So a quick note on why we're even doing version 2 in the first place. The original video that I put out is by far one of my best performing videos I've recorded recently. So thank you to everybody who's watched that, by the way, really appreciate it. The deck had a lot going for it. It is effectively an FTK level combo deck. However, it did have a lot of garnets. So what I did is I scoured through Card Database and read, literally every single synchro monster ever created to try and find an extender or some kind of obscure extension piece in the extra deck that could mean we could get to the same endboard still, but minimize the amount of Centurion garnets in particular in the main deck. Because if you look at things like Phalanx, Gargoyle, Atri, Emblemer Oath, you don't really want to be drawing these cards. Emblemer Oath in isolation is not a brick or a garnet, but in order to make this card playable in your opening hand, you then need to introduce other bricks and other garnets. So what we've done is we've completely cut these 4 cards out of the deck, but we still get to the same end board with our 1-card combos. Let me show you how. Now, what are you thinking? If we've just removed 4 extenders, surely the end board's nowhere near as good. Surely we don't draw anywhere near as many cards. I can see why you'd think that, but let me show you, right? Let me show you what I've cooked up. Dark Magician represents the blanks, the usual. We're going to keep a little tally of how many cards we draw, right? So I'll show you how you do this with Lucia. I'll show you how you do this with Medius, any of the Elfnote starters, including Welcome Home, because Welcome Home is now a true starter, right? Can do what I'm about to show you. So the deck becomes way more consistent, not just because we've taken away the garnets, but because now all of our Elfnote starters are true starters. So let's start with Lucia. Lucia effect grabs a copy of the Peacock, normal summon the Peacock, and we synchro 7. Activate the effect of the Phoenix to special summon back the Peacock. If we want to be greedy, then what you wouldn't do is modulate the levels. You'd keep it as 7 and 1, because then you can go into the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon to play around Nibiru. But if we want to be greedy, and I'm going to show you the greedy version, bring its level down to 4, so you can go 4 + 1 to synchro into the Librarian. Activate the effect of the Peacock. You could have activated it earlier because we're not actually trying to beat draw with this combo. And that will get for us a copy of Tinia. Special summon Tinia, placing a copy of Welcome Home face up in the spell and trap zone. Activate the effect of Welcome Home, pitch in a blank to special summon Fortunia effect to grab the Rhapsodia face up spell and trap zone. Activate Rhapsodia, pitch in another blank. We're going to get all these cards back, don't you worry about that. Bringing back a copy of the Peacock. So the route looks a bit different here. You'll see why in a second. What we're going to do is we're going to synchro 7 for a copy of a card you might not have heard of, to be fair. Shooting Riser Dragon. This has an on-summon trigger effect. Send a monster from your deck to the graveyard with a lower level than this, and then reduce this card's level by the level of the monster sent. So we send a level 1. This could be Droll, could be Effect Veiler, could be a copy of the Peacock. You probably don't want to send another copy of the Peacock, right? You don't want them all in your graveyard. So we send a level 1 hand trap. This is now a level 6. Not only that, it's a tuner as well. So now we can go straight into the 12, into the auxiliary, and this is how we cut out a lot of the bricks. Chain link 1, chain link 2. So we'll give a little mark for one card drawn, and we get a copy of stand up, and then we draw a card. Activate stand up, pitch in a blank. We get Trudea. Trudea summons itself. Trudea puts itself back, along with a copy of Primera. Primera summons itself to search a copy of Wake Up. Wake Up being the only real brick left in this deck now, to be honest. We activate Wake Up, making itself a level 8 token. And then we synchro 12 for the Crimson Dragon. Chainlink 1 to draw a card, Chainlink 2 to grab Synchro Rumble, Chainlink 3 to tag out. So it tags itself out for a copy of Cosmic Blazer. Chainlink 2. We grab a copy of Synchro Rumble. Synchro Rumble. Chainlink 1. Draw a card. And then in a new chain, we draw a card again. So in this version of the combo, where we've started with Lucia, we'll still draw an additional 2 cards during their turn, because as we end our turn, Primera goes into the spell and trap zone, and then we'll still be able to go into Crimson Dragon, into a second level 12 during their turn. So we've still drawn 5 cards. As we tag out during their turn, you're tagging out into maybe a Stardust Seaver Divine Dragon, maybe an additional Cosmic Blazer, because it's a soft once per turn. So what we have here is we've drawn 5 cards from a 1-card combo. Oh, didn't actually draw the additional 2 cards there. There we go. So we've drawn 5 cards from a 1-card combo. We've got 3 negates on the field. We've got Synchro Rumble here for follow-up, because what you could do before you end your turn, you could activate Synchro Rumble to bring out Shooting Riser Dragon, because this can quick effect Synchro during their turn. So you can go Riser Dragon plus the Librarian during their turn. So that's another level 12 Synchro. Not all of the level 12 Synchros are generic. So you're looking at something like Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, for example, to put one of their monsters into the back row. So that's another form of disruption. So the Synchro Rumble isn't wasted here. So as you can see with this new combo line, we've drastically cut down on the bricks and the garnets. We're still ending on 3 negates, right? This could be 3 Omni negates more specifically, because you could just do a second copy of Cosmic Blazer. I do quite like this though, purely because in the meta at the minute, obviously MST, Fallen and the Virtuous, very popular cards. I think Draco Tail, obviously as they fusion, monsters in the graveyard have an effect, and they might well try to pop one of your cards, forgetting that this actually has destruction protection the first time they try to pop one of our cards. So I think in the current meta, rather than having a second Blazer Dragon, I think there's more value in the Stardust Seaver Divine Dragon, to be honest. So this is the updated combo route, starting with Lucia. We'll still draw 5 cards. We'll still end on multiple negates. The difference is we didn't need any of these. We've cut 4 garnets out of the deck. Let me show you the combo route, starting with Medius, because it is actually quite different. Now with Medius, we take a different route. Medius is now by far the best starter in the deck. We end on a better board, we draw way more cards, and still, we didn't need any of these, right? So let me show you how we do it when we start with Medius. It's a very different combo route, so you do need to take notes. We normal summon Medius. Medius grabs a copy of the Peacock. We're going to Synchro 4, once again showing you the greedy version, where we draw as many cards as possible. The trigger effect of the Peacock, we'll grab Tinea. Now if you wanted to be really greedy here, you could grab Lucia instead. Special Lucia to grab Tinea, and then use Medius to get Lucia off the board, special summon Medius, so now we can bring out Tinea, and then leave Medius there while you do the rest of your combo. That's too greedy though, because what we're doing there is burning two extensions, and then if we get Nibiru, we'll have less to play through Nibiru later. So we don't do that, basically. We're going to leave Medius there. If we have a Lucia in hand, we're going to leave it there for later. So we get Tinea, basically, just so we can play through Nibiru later on if we need to. So we get a copy of Tinea, special to the Central Monster Zone, and we get a copy of Welcome Home. Activate Welcome Home, pitching Tinea. And we get a copy of Fortunia, who's going to grab the trap for us. We activate the trap, pitch in a blank, to special summon the Peacock. This Peacock's about to put in some serious work for us, by the way, in this combo. We're now going to Synchro 7, and we're going to get a copy of the Phoenix, which we haven't used yet in this combo line. This is why we're able to draw so many more cards. So we're going to go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. So Chainlink 2, special summon the Peacock. We won't modulate level. Chainlink 1, draw a card. We're now going to Synchro 8 into a copy of Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. So Chainlink 2, this will revive the Peacock, Central Monster Zone specifically, very important. Chainlink 1, draw a card. We're going to activate the effect of the Peacock to make itself a level 4. Then we're going to activate the effect of Axel Synchro, tagging itself out. To get us a copy of Stardust Dragon. And then we immediately have to Synchro Summon. So that's now 8 plus 4, which is 12, to get us into Centurion. So because this is a mandatory effect, it can't miss timing. So Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3. So we grab a copy of Stand-Up Centurion, and then we draw 2 cards. Activate Stand-Up, pitch in a blank, and by now this is probably fairly standard, so we'll grab all 3 at once here. Grab Trudea, Trudea effect, Trudea puts itself back, grabbing Primera, Primera effect, grabs the Wake Up, activate Wake Up, 4 plus 8, for a copy of Crimson Dragon. Chainlink 1 to draw, Chainlink 2 to search, Chainlink 3 to tag itself out. So it tags itself out for a copy of Cosmic Blazar. Chainlink 2 to search, and we want to have a Synchro Rumble. Chainlink 1, to draw a card. And as you can see, it's starting to get a bit silly. New chain link, draw a card. Now, if it wasn't already silly, it is now. So now what we can do is we can activate Synchro Rumble, because it summons a tuner, or it can summon Stardust Dragon. Now, Stardust Dragon can negate any card that would try to destroy a card. So if you think about MST, if you think about Fallen and the Virtuous, very, very popular cards in the current meta, not only can this negate those cards, it can bring itself back afterwards, which is, yeah, I think quite relevant actually in the current meta game. As we end our turn, we'd put Primera back. Then obviously, if we look at all of our cards, we need to discard 2, right? So what you'd be looking at here is you'd discard 2, and you'd try to be making sure your hand is basically full of hand traps, or as many relevant hand traps as possible, so that not only are we playing through the negates, right? And we're not even done, because obviously as we pass turn, yeah, we bring out the Tradea, we bring out the Primera, Synchro, into the Crimson Dragon. 1 for the Crimson Dragon. I'll put this on now already, right? Because Crimson Dragon tags out. We go into a copy of the Cypher Dragon. You wouldn't actually put that there, by the way. You wouldn't want it in the central monster zone. So now we draw an additional 2 cards, right? So we've got 8 cards in hand. And they're trying to play through 1, 2, 3, 4 different negates. Not only that, when we bring back our Tinea, right? Let's say we go negate, banish, negate, tribute, negate, negate, right? When we use this, we bring back the Tinea. Tinea effect, swapping itself around to get a hand rip as well. So let's say they had 6 cards in hand. You're ripping one of them, so they've only got 5. And with 5 cards in hand, they're trying to play through 4 negates, and you having 8 cards in hand. And that all came from 1 Medius. And like I said, we've completely eliminated the bricks. The only true brick really left is Wake Up. Wake Up, admittedly, is not a card you want to be drawing, but Tradea is a starter, Primera is a starter, Stand Up is a starter, right? So we're now only playing 1 brick. We've got rid of 4, but we're still ending on 4 negates and drawing 8 cards just from normal summoning Medius the Pure. Now I just want to directly respond to one of the comments on my last video, and it was talking about how do we do the safe route where we beat Droll and Nib and then still go full combo on top of that as well. Pre-Blazing Dominion, we can't do that just from 1 card. We would need to open the Tinea plus a Medius, right? Tinea plus an extender. And I will show you that line just so you understand how it works. But I want to give you a bit of a sneak preview, because in Blazing Dominion, we can do it all just from the 1 card. So you'd special summon Tinea. Tinea grabs the Welcome Home. We pitch a blank to summon the Peacock. We go Synchro 7 for the Phoenix. Phoenix brings back the Peacock. Synchro 8 for the Crystal Wing. Trigger effect of the Peacock, now that we can't be drawled, to grab Lucia. Now in the current format, I don't think there's a true 1 card combo. That means we can start with Tinea, get to the Clear Wing, beat Droll, beat nib, and then still extend from there, you would need to draw an additional piece of engine, an additional extender. And let's face it, you will, right? You're not just going to draw one single elf note name. So I will show you how that works as well once you do draw an additional extender. But sneak preview, because in Blazing Dominion, once we get Elfnote Regina, and to be fair, that's a whole separate video, because what she enables for this deck is absolutely insane. Separate video though, separate video. Sneak preview. You special summon Lucia, grabbing Regina, right? She looks a bit different, just go with it. Effect, to special summon herself to the central monster zone by sending Lucia to the graveyard, and then with her effect, you'd special summon Fortunia. Fortunia will grab the trap for us, activate the trap, pitch in a blank, to special summon the peacock back, and then you'd go 6+1 to make 7 with a shooting riser dragon, chainlink 1, chainlink 2 to add Regina back to hand, chainlink 1, sending a level 1 to the graveyard, and then we'll go in Synchro 12, for the Auxilia. So in Blazing Dominion, we don't actually need to pick, basically. One card just does it all for us. You don't get to draw the bajillion cards and beat draw and beat nib. Like, come on now, right? You can't have it all. But just with Tinia alone, we can beat draw, beat nib, and then still continue to full combo from there, just from Elfnote Lucia. Let me show you in the current format though, how we might open Tinia plus an extender, just so you understand how those lines work. So like I said, let me show you how we do the safe line and then use one of our extenders to continue comboing from there. I won't be able to go into each and every route with each and every card, because then this video ends up taking, honestly, 3 hours, right? It's quite a complex deck once you start playing with it. Blazing Dominion is going to make it even better, and I genuinely cannot wait. But that's a whole other set of videos, to be honest, like I said. So in this example, we've opened Tinia, we've opened Medius, but because our opponent got FTK'd by us turn 1, right? Then they won game 2, and now it's game 3, and they're going second. So we're up against Droll, we're up against Nib. What can we do? So we special summon Tinia. Tinia grabs Welcome Home. Welcome Home pitches a blank to summon the peacock. And then we go 6+1. You'll be very familiar with this line. So we're going to speed run it a little bit. Grabs the Phoenix. Phoenix brings back the peacock. 7+1 to Synchro 8. And we go into Crystal and Synchro Dragon. Now we activate the trigger effect of the Power Patron, because we can't be hit with Nibiru anymore. And we grab Lucia. So we can't be trolled, we can't be nibbed. How do we extend from here? This is why we need the Medius, right? Because one elf note name alone can't really extend for you in this situation. You need the second card. That can be Medius, it can be the peacock. Doesn't really matter which. Either one of them allows you to combo off. But let's show you the example with Medius, right? So we've just searched Lucia. We'll special summon Lucia, and that will get for us a copy of Fortunia. We'll normal summon Medius. Medius will special summon an additional copy of the peacock. Now we need to get Lucia out of the central monster zone, so we'll Synchro 7 for shooting Riser Dragon. This genuinely does so much for the deck. On summon trigger effect, sending a level 1 to the graveyard, so now it's a level 6. Now we can special summon Fortunia. Fortunia effect to get the trap. And if you wanted to, I'm just going to show you what you can do, right? Synchro 10 for a light and dark Chaos Age, because you can, right? So why not? Use the trap to picture blank, bringing back the Fortunia. Synchro 12 to go into the Auxilia. Auxilia grabs the stand up, picture blank, Trudea, Primera, you know the drill by now. Primera gets the wake up. Synchro 12 into the Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon tags out into the Cosmic Blazar. We get our copy of Synchro Rumble. Use Synchro Rumble. In fact, in this case, they wouldn't really have a target for Synchro Rumble. Not a good one. Anyway, that can be extension. End turn. Primera, obviously during their turn, for an additional Synchro 12. I like Cypher in this instance. So this is just to show you as an example, right? Even if we want to be super safe, now we don't get to draw a bajillion cards, it includes discards, but we beat draw, we beat nib, we have the light and dark Chaos Angel. Now if you wanted to preserve card economy, you don't go for the Chaos Angel, right? Rather than going for the Chaos Angel, you sack one of the monsters on field when you're activating the trap, and you preserve your card economy that way. Obviously, the Chaos Angel is optional, but we can go for a super safe board, game 3, where we're beating draw, we're beating nib, and then we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 negates, and we've got a light and dark Chaos Angel. So yeah, I just wanted to show you how you might structure your plays a little bit if you've opened an extender in hand and a Tinea, and you're specifically wanting to go the route that beats draw, beats nib, and then puts up a board behind that. So let's look a little bit at how we'd build the deck moving forwards. Like I showed you, we've massively cut down on the garnets, and in return, we haven't actually really lost anything from our endboards. Using these new routes, our Medius endboard is miles better than it ever was, and we've cut garnets out of the deck. Starting with Lucia, we don't draw quite as many cards, right? I think we draw 1, 2 cards less than the old routes, but again, we drastically cut down on garnets because it's important to understand that Elfnote specifically, we are actually lacking a little bit in engine cards. Blazing Dominion, I keep talking about it. We get Elfnote Regina, and that is a game changer for the deck. But for now, right, we're admittedly a little bit light on our engine count, so we have to be a little bit creative. So what I'm going to show you now is more of a framework, then obviously you can adjust that to suit your play style, to suit what you want to do. So 3 Lucia, nice and obvious, she's a 1-card starter. 3 Tinea, again, nice and obvious, she's a 1-card starter. Just the 1 Fortunia, because she's very important, but you don't want to open her, right? You absolutely want to get to this card, but you don't want to open it. And then, I think 2 Peacock is fine. You can push that up to 3 if you want to, but as a normal summon on its own, it doesn't actually do anything. 1 isn't enough, because it might get banished. You might want to go through 2, right? 3 I think is too many. 3 Medius the Pure, by far the best starter in the deck we have now. And then, it's where it gets a bit interesting, I guess. We're light on engine, like I said. So, to fix that, there's one of 2 things we can do. We can run 3 Archmage Vandalism Assault. Now don't be thrown off by the fact it says Archmage. Even though it's an Archmage card, this is a rotor for Medius. So now, that's basically 6 copies of Medius in our deck. Another angle you could do is run 3 Theo Realize instead. Not because we want to start manipulating attributes or anything like that, but because it sends Medius to the graveyard. And then as we know, Medius has an effect to bring himself back to the field. And when he does, you shuffle a card from your hand back into the deck. So I think these both have the merits. This can fix dodgy hands where you've drawn a card that you really need to be in your deck for your combo, right? But it's not quite as good in terms of card economy. This, on the other hand, while it can't necessarily fix your hands per se, very good for card economy. It's just a rotor, right? It's just a rotor for Medius the Pure. None of the other effects matter. Not only that, when we're going second, this can be fodder for Forbidden Droplet. So if we're running Forbidden Droplet, and you should, by the way, you should absolutely be on Forbidden Droplet in this format, especially if you go second, then we have a free send for Forbidden Droplet. I'm not going to tell you one is outright better than the other, but I do think we need to pick one, right? At the minute, I'm testing this just because I'm greedy and I don't like having, no cards in my hand. So an additional 3 copies of Medius to boost the consistency. And then we're also looking at 3 Welcome Home, because it's a true 1-card starter now. No reason to not be running this at 3. Again, we're a bit lacking in engine, so we need to boost the consistency of the deck. And then 1 copy of the Trap. And then for the Centurion part of the deck, 1 Trudea, 1 Primera, 1 Stand Up, 1 Wake Up, 1 Synchro Rumble. Now in the old Centurion package, we had an additional 3-4 cards on top of this. When we look at this now though, Synchro Rumble is not a brick, right? Because the Peacock is a tuner, so it's an extender at worst. Worst case scenario, this is an extender to bring back the Peacock. So you really don't mind drawing it. Wake Up, okay, massive brick. Desperately don't want to draw this card. Stand Up, starter. Primera, starter. Trudea, starter. So we're now in the Centurion aspect of the deck. We're only really running 1 brick. So the deck is now a lot more consistent. This is 24 cards, by the way, which allows for 16 non-engine. If you wanted to add an additional Peacock, we're then at 15 and 25. If you wanted to add a Theo Realize to the deck on top of the Assault, right, you can tweak this to suit your tastes. But at the minute, I think 24 and 16 is fine, right? You need to make sure that in your non-engine, you have level 1 hand traps, whether that's 2 Draw, 3 Veiler, because for the Shooting Riser Dragon combo, which actually unlocks a lot in this deck now, and is the reason we're able to cut so many garnets, you do need to send a level 1 to the graveyard. So just watch out for that. Make sure you've got either Draw or Effect Veiler, right? Or DD Crow if you're feeling that way. You probably shouldn't be feeling that way. To make sure that that particular combo route works. Let's look at the extra deck. Now with the extra deck, I'm going to show you the cards that are a must play. There are a couple of flex spots, but what we need to bear in mind is that once Vidralis Harmonia comes out, we will need targets in our extra deck. So things like Enigmaster Packbit, Cloud Beast Malong. So I've intentionally not pushed this to 15, because even if it was at 15, we then need to make some cuts to make room for Enigmaster Packbit, Cloud Beast Malong, right? So I'm going to show you the must plays. You've got the Stardust, and the Axel Synchro, really important as extenders, and Stardust forms part of your endboard if we're going down the Medius route. Hyperlibrarian, because we like drawing cards, right? Why not? Shooting Riser Dragon, again, another really important extender. It's these three cards in particular that allowed for those garnets to be cut out of the deck without impacting their power level. I literally sat reading. I was on Card Database, just scrolling for hours and hours and hours, reading synchro monsters to try and find the best possible extension tools that would allow us to boost the consistency of the deck. Now, Black Rose Dragon, didn't really touch on it in this video, but it is an absolute must play. Let me tell you why. It's a level 7 synchro with an effect. When this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all cards on the field. So let me quickly touch on this, because it will catch people out. Let's say we have Fortunia, special summoned to the central monster zone, right? The percentage is in the middle. Normal summon the Peacock. People who don't know this deck might not understand how much danger they're in this moment, right? So this is specifically for going second. So the reason this is so good, and the reason this will catch people off guard, is because if they have a negate, if they have some kind of negation, a lot of people will just wait, right? I think once people have got better at the game, they don't just start shotgunning all their interaction right off the bat, right? They kind of wait a little bit. They're waiting for the danger before they do anything, particularly if they're a bit worried about thrust, a bit worried about talents. Very popular going second cards at the minute. So they might see the Peacock, they might see the Fortunia, and they might think, whatever, right? I'm in no danger just yet. Synchro 7 to summon Black Rose Dragon. Now, because the Power Patron has an effect when it's used as synchro material, we can chain block Black Rose Dragon. So we go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2 to search, and then even if they're sat on an Omni-Negate, they've missed their opportunity to stop this from happening. Now, they might have an imperm, right? In which case, pray you have a droplet. Hopefully you've got a droplet to make sure this resolves. Now, when you talk about this card, your automatic response is to say, yeah, but nobody's ever going to let you, do a synchro. Nobody's ever going to let you get to that point. And I thought the same, but I promise you, this catches people off guard, because nobody understands how much danger they're in. Because they're sat on a negate, they're sat on interruptions, and they think, yeah, whatever. But because it's chain blocked, right, this will catch people napping. And so because of that, I think this is absolutely a must play. Way better than the Archfiend card I showed you in the last deck profile. We've got the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon for when we want to respect Droll, respect Nibiru. We've got the Phoenix and we've got Genora. In the current format, I don't rate this card. I'll be honest, I don't think it's great. When the new support comes out, this becomes absolutely cracked because we can cheat it out. And when we cheat it out, it's still considered a synchro summon once we've cheated it out. So if we're going second, this becomes the board breaker of all board breakers because it negates all their monsters and all their spells and traps. All face-up cards they control get negated, and we can cheat it out in Blazing Dominion. Really, really important. For now, as crazy as it sounds, you could probably cut this, right? But I'm keeping it in because, it's just come out and I want to play the new card. And then we've got the 12 package, Crimson Dragon, Auxilla, Cosmic Blazar, Stardust Safer Divine Dragon. This could be another Cosmic Blazar, right? It could be the Supernova Dragon. You've got options for what you do with that additional level 12. I prefer this though, just because in the current format, MST, Fallen and the Virtuous, very popular cards. The Draco Tail, they'll try and crack your board, right? Because I forget which Draco Tail name it is off the top of my head, has a destruction effect. after being sent to the graveyard. So I think this, out of all the other level 12s, has more value than just an additional Cosmic Blazar. Some cards you could be playing. Chaos Angel. Can't really go wrong with Chaos Angel. And it's quite easy to make the light and dark Chaos Angel in this deck. Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, because the Riser Dragon plus the Librarian on their turn. A lot of Synchro 12s are actually really awkward, which is why we make them with Crimson Dragon, whereas this is a generic level 12, and it's a pretty decent piece of interruption as well. Now this, I considered not showing you. Adamantipator Risen Dragite. Because Tinea is a water, we can actually use this. I'll be honest, it's not an auto include in my deck, but you know, there's a consideration. Cursed Thunder God, if you wanted to make it for leaving it on the field for their turn. Yeah, not particularly sold on it, just wanted to show it as an option. Omega, because we can do double hand rips. One with Omega, one with Tinea, right? All options. But the absolute must plays to enable the combos I've just showed you are all here. Honorary mention, just so nobody thinks I forgot. Secret Village of the Spellcasters. I think you side this. It's not really in your deck, but we haven't forgot about this. And of course, Ancient Fairy Dragon. Who could forget our favourite way of having a fair, fun and interactive duel with Radiant Typhoon, right? We haven't forgot about this, don't worry. As a bonus round, FA Dawn Dragster, that's another option as well. So, to summarise, we drastically reduced the amount of garnets in our deck, and in many ways actually boosted the power level of the deck at the same time. Way more consistent, better endboards. We can still draw a bazillion cards if we want to. We can still play it really safe if we want to. And this isn't even the final form of the deck. I will be making new videos and updates for this deck as and when Blazing Dominion launches, right? Big fan of this deck, and I think it's a deck I'm going to be playing for a long time, to be honest, particularly once we get that new support. I do just want to ask while people are here though, the Elfnote Centur-ion deck was by far one of the better performing videos that I put out recently, and I had a bit of a hunch as to why, so I just wanted to ask, right, you can let me know in the comments, is this why? And the hunch I had is that Centurion is an archetype that a lot of people really like. They probably spent quite a few quid on these cards as well back in the day, because they weren't cheap when they first launched. Except they've never really been that great, right? So my hunch is the reason my Elfnote Centur-ion video got so much traction, because there's basically been like a bunch of closet Centurion enjoyers, right? Just waiting for the moment for these cards to actually be viable in the current meta. And that's my, like, you know, top guess, my hunch as to why my Elfnote Centur-ion video in particular, right, generated a good bit of traction. Let me know in the comments if it's that or if it's something else. If you've enjoyed this video, I don't normally ask, but do consider liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all that jazz. It really does help me out. And for this video in particular, I've tried to make sure that I've responded to the queries in the last video. I think I saw that it got a lot of traction, so I wanted to share the improvements I've made with the deck and share that with you, rather than just, you know, being a bit sneaky, keeping it to myself. And we've made a massive improvement over the original combo routes, over the original deck that I showed you last time. I'll be doing the same again once Blazing Dominion comes out. So if you haven't, consider subscribing, would mean a lot. And if I don't see you beforehand, I will see you in Blazing Dominion when this deck gets a massive glow up all over again. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next one.